Hey, I'm Dante,
And hey, I'm Dana.
and welcome to the Dante Show.
Let me touch you, can make it better. I'ma make you bad for it, bad for it. When I tease you, you ain't gonna wanna stop. I'ma make you bad for it, bad for it. I know you want my body and I'll make you bad for it.
What's up, Village? It's your boy Kwame, the man with the plan behind the stands. Before we get into it, do me a favor. If you are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, hit that share button so people can see what the fuss is all about. Don't worry if it's the end of the show, they can catch the replay. We're trying to spread the love instead of spreading the lies, y'all. All right, let's get into it. Did you know that our boy Dante Morrison is a best-selling author? Do you like smut? Yes, smut. Well, these books are filled with it. Check out The End of the Rainbow, followed by the sequel, Yesterday Clarified. You can get them on Amazon, or if you are tired of giving Jeff Bezos the time of day, you can visit www.dantemorrison.com, where in fact you will find out more about the motivational, inspirational, hilarious host known as Dante, Mr. Morrison if you're nasty. He is not only the host of TDS, he is a public health advocate, motivational speaker, and community change agent. Articles, interviews, blogs, podcasts, vlogs, and more. You name it, and Dante has done it. Speaking of vlogs, have you subscribed to the Dante Show YouTube? Now, every villager should be subscribed. The more the channel grows, the bigger TDS messaging becomes. It's really simple. Go to www.youtube.com/Dante Morrison. And also, did you want to be a guest on the Dante Show? Or do you want to book Dante or Dana on your platform? Stop. Don't inbox him, don't email him, or even call him. You know what you need to do? Go ahead and open your handy dandy smartphone or Wi-Fi enabled device and send an email to info@pyromedianetwork.com and request your presence on the show. It's 2021, y'all, and Dante and Dana has got management. So, let's conduct business. Speaking of management, the Dante Show is produced by Pyro Media Network. We are a Black-owned digital marketing and video production agency helping businesses and brands make an impact with their message. We also help businesses navigate what we call the biggest communication shift in over 500 years, social media. So, if you have a business, brand, or influence, and you want to take it to the next level, contact us today. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you on the next. Boom.
What up, fam bam? What up, what up, what up? It is Tuesday, and we are in the house. And guess who's back? I'm not solo bolo like I was last night, but the man, the myth, the legend, the fan favorite, the one all the ladies love, the one that y'all were missing on last night. Y'all couldn't even sleep well until y'all got y'all Dana dropped. Well, he is back in the house. Tell him what's up, Dana.
What's going on, ladies? Hey. You know what? I'm here, but I'm having computer issues. I'm not sure what the internet is doing. It's giving me a delay, but I'm here. That's all I can say. I'm sorry.
And I already know you, Dana. I know you are sitting there frustrated because your Wi-Fi is causing glitches on tonight, but it's all good. It's all good. We're going to see how tonight's show. If you got to log on and come back in, hey, you got time, you got a minute, because I know the fans want to get their drop, and they can't get the drop if you're glitching. So probably during our Black History Spotlight, Dana, you can dip out, reseat, come back, all that kind of stuff. What's up, Sade? What's up, East Coast fam bam? I see Compton's up in the house. I see Pam's in the house all the way down in Florida. What up, what up, what up? Now, I don't think Dana paid his bill, Sean. I think something going on up over there. Because remember, it was glitching last time he was on the air. So he probably got that hookup like you saw in the movie Beach Street when they went from house to house and stole the wiring. Here's some New York. So what's up, Brian? What's up, fam? What it do, what it do, what it do? Hey, so look. Hey, Sean, how you doing, man? So Dana, I don't know if you want to log out and come back in. Let me know, whatever the case may be. But we're going to kick it off right now with our Black History Spotlight. Y'all know every single episode of the Donta Show, we highlight some Black history or some Black figures that are doing big things in the community. I don't care what part of the community they're in, they are doing big things. And tonight is the show right before Pride Month ends. I think today is tomorrow's the 30th. But you know, Pride Month for the Donta Show ends on today. So tonight we have some special guests that's going to be on, and we want to recognize these Black history, Black movers and shakers that are still alive right now to this day, making a difference. So let's hit up our Black History Spotlight. What's up, Orlando? What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's make it happen. Come on, Kwame. Let's do the spotlight real quick. Here we go. Black History Month ain't over, and it is June. And our first spotlight is Dr. Courtney Ryan Ziegler. All right. Courtney is 39 years old and from Compton, California. And Courtney is an award-winning artist, writer, and the first person to hold a PhD of African American Studies from Northwestern University. He is the director of the documentary Still Black, A Portrait of Black Trans Men, runs the GLAAD Media Award-nominated blog Blackademic, and was named one of the top 40 under 40 LGBT activists by the Advocate magazine and one of the most influential African Americans of 2013 by the Root 100. Dr. Ziegler is also the founder of Trans Hack, the only tech event of its kind that spotlights trans-created tech and trans-led startups. Give it up for Dr. Courtney Ryan Ziegler. But we also have another one, because it ain't over. We're going to highlight another individual. So our other individual we're going to highlight is, let's see. Get my paperwork together. And I am ready. Here we go. Boom. There we go. CC McDonald. CC is an activist who brought national attention to the discrimination and violence imposed on trans women of color. McDonald was assaulted in an anti-trans, anti-Black hate crime in 2012 and was subsequently imprisoned for defending herself. She was forced to serve her 40-month sentence in a male prison. Since then, she has sought to unveil the structural violence and discrimination imposed on trans women of color. So give it up for Dr. Courtney Ryan Ziegler and CC McDonald. People who are fighting for the cause, people that are behind the scenes who you may have never heard of, who deserve to be recognized, acknowledged, and affirmed. So Village, y'all know we have no respect to person. If you are Black doing big things, we're going to shout you out. So let's shout out Dr. Ziegler and CC McDonald. Ba-da-ba-ba. We love y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Keep up the good work. Keep up that fight. We got y'all back. All right. So, I got two guests on the show tonight. I think they both have been on here before. Yeah, they both have been on here before. I'm almost certain of it. But if you missed that episode when they were on here, you are in for a treat. So these two gentlemen are going to come in and they're going to educate, empower, inspire, and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm sure Dana's going to pop back in at any moment. He's going to pop back in and just bless us with his beauty and his presence. All right. But until then, let's get tonight's guest on the show. All right. So we have two men that I just appreciate. I applaud. I love. I call them my brothers. Kwame, bring on Derek and Sebastian. Hey, my brothers, my brothers. What's up?
What's going
What's
on,
going
Donta?
on?
I am glad y'all decided to come back. Derek, thanks for reaching out and saying you want to come back on the show, man. Because I be so busy, I be forgetting to invite past guests back. So I'm glad you just, thought about the Donta show and said, let's get some more conversation going, educate the people.
Of course. Yeah, I had such a good time last time. I had to come back.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, Thais, I see you up in there. What's up, East? All right, so I'm gonna let you two introduce yourselves, all right? Because I can't do it justice. So let's start with Derek. Derek, let the folks know who you are, what you're about, what you're doing, all that kind of phenomenal stuff.
So my name is Derek Baugh. I am the executive director of Ubuntu Incorporated. It is a trans male led organization, Black trans male led organization based here out of Atlanta. Also affiliated with several other local and national organizations. I serve as a consultant, board member, in different capacities, and I do the work of elevating trans masculine voices and creating spaces and building community for trans masculine people.
Give it up for Derek. Give it up for Derek. Give it up for Derek. Love it, love it, love it. All right, Sebastian, you got your pitch ready? Because you are next.
All right, Donta. Thank you for having us. My name is Sebastian. My pronouns are he, him, and king. So those are my required pronouns, and I don't accept anything other than that. I am the national organizer at the National Center for Transgender Equality. It's my 9 to 5. I wear a lot of hats, and you'll find out that most of us trans advocates do the same. So just like Derek, I am also a consultant for many grassroots organizations, board member, ambassador, all things that are Black and trans and Black and positive, I am a part of. So that's me in a nutshell, and I'm excited to be here tonight to have this conversation.
Hey, I'm glad you both decided to join on tonight. I don't even know where y'all want to begin. I mean, I wrote down some topics and some talking points that we can just dive into. June is Pride Month, and I've tried to be as intentional as possible about raising awareness about issues that LGBTQ persons of color experience. But I'm only one piece of that. I'm only one letter in that alphabet. But on tonight, we're gonna further educate the community. And I know that when people hear when they hear trans men, trans masculine, they instantly begin to stigmatize and stereotype. What are some of the stereotypes that you personally have had to just break down when people are just ignorant about your journey or your life?
So I'll speak first, and I first want to start the conversation out by saying congratulations to you, Donta. I saw that you have your last dissertation defense coming up, so congrats on that.
July 12th. Thank you. Thanks,
yes,
bro.
We have to celebrate that. Yeah, we need to celebrate that. But to talk about stereotypes that are ugly and that we that I have had to fight against in my own personal journey, I would start with the fact that all trans journeys are not the same. We are not, like, once you meet one trans person, like you just met, Gabrielle Claiborne would say, you just met that person. So you can't look at me and see Sebastian because I'm me. So what I mean when I say that is Sebastian may enjoy like hunting and fishing and that type of thing, but like me, I'm not going outside. I don't like bugs, and that's okay. Sebastian may dress up in, a suit and tie and be very, cute in it. And I could too, but I like rompers and I like clutch bags. It doesn't make me any less of a man. But because of our social diets and the way that we are conditioned, I have had people say very nasty things to me and try to diminish my masculinity because I like things that are considered quote unquote feminine. But, I liken myself to people like Little Richard and James Brown, who also enjoyed very sparkly things, but were also very secure in their masculinity.
Right. I like that. All right, Sebastian?
And I can just echo that, Donta. I think for the most part, it's when we're talking about masculinity and what it looks like, right? People have different ideas, different concepts of what masculinity, not only what masculinity looks like, but what bodies can house them. So for us, it's so important to break down and deconstruct masculinity and who houses them and what it looks like and how we are presented, because as trans men, it's so very important. None of us are a monolith. None of us are the same. All of us are diverse and we're different. I say it all the time. How boring of a world it would be if we were all the same. So diversity is important and we should celebrate it as much as we possibly can. So that's just like I said, piggybacking on what Derek said, there are all different types of men, kinds of men. A lot of trans men tend to get, and just being transparent, tend to get over sexualized. And then we start talking about, sex and parts and all of these things that don't really encompass what the character of a man is, a character of a human being. So let's just start there, because at the end of the day,
Right.
we're the bottom ground level is that we're all human beings with emotions, with feelings, with all of these things that trans people also have. So we have to find that common thread that lies amongst us, so that you can, at least, you won't understand this walk because it's not your story, but you can find commonality and gain respect in that way.
I think it's interesting how you talked about masculinity, and I have a question for not only you, but those who are watching. Do we think that masculinity is defined differently by blacks than it is by whites? Because I know for a lot of people who identify as LGBTQ, who are African American, sometimes they feel safer in white gay spaces. I know that may sound weird, but when it comes to masculinity, does the black community define masculinity or view masculinity different than the white community, just from your experiences?
Well, I can speak for a black, as a black person. Yes, I think culturally, as black people, we are conditioned to look at masculinity a certain way. Me, I'm from the deep South. I'm from the Bible Belt, Mississippi, deep South, and there's only one binary way, according to my folks, man and woman. There's only one binary way. There's nothing outside of that. And you're taught that, you're fed that your entire life. Men do this and women do that. So of course, culturally, as black people, we view masculinity in a whole different way, because it matters in different situations too. It matters when we are when we are addressing police, or we're in situations where we have to talk to police officers or any of that. You have to taper back on your masculinity sometimes, in order to keep yourself safe. So I think culturally, as black people, we absolutely have a different view of what masculinity is.
And I would echo that sentiment. What came to mind when Sebastian was talking, because I'm from Atlanta, born and raised. I'm an original Peach. And so what came to mind when he was talking was the first time that I heard a white person talk about a short haircut was like, they called it a pixie cut. And I was like, what the hell is a pixie cut? Because when I was growing up, it was like bad luck for women to cut their hair off. And if you cut your hair off, then you were trying to act like a boy. So I had no idea of them defining it as the style. And I was like, and I remember seeing somebody, and this is like pre-transition, and I was like, oh, she's probably, like very much that, because this is what I had consumed, and this is all I knew. So absolutely, I think feminine and masculine spectrums are different. And I also think that, unfortunately, as it relates to like black folks, we don't always understand that gender is a spectrum, and people can move up and down and in and out as they please. It's their right to do so. I think because it's comfortable and it's easier, we kind of put people in these boxes, because then we can kind of understand it better sometimes.
I agree. And we did a conversation once, and I talked about the Kinsey scale. And most folks had not heard about the Kinsey scale, that just basically says, like what you just said, Derek, you can move up and down that spectrum, and if you happen to dibble and dabble with the same sex at one point, that does not make you exclusively homosexual. You have the ability to go anywhere on the spectrum that you desire, but because of conditioning, and like Dietrich just said, the black church has played a huge part in how the black community looks at human sexuality. And like you said, Sebastian, we make it very binary. Man, woman, that's it. Missionary style, that's it. Anything outside of that, oh my God, you're hellbound. And then I don't know if you heard the question that I asked was basically, is masculinity defined differently amongst the black community than it is amongst the white community? Because normally when you see a white guy, when you see a white guy who's kind of softer, we don't equate him with being gay. Normally it's like, oh, that's just a soft white dude. He just proper. But when you see a soft black dude, he's instantly put in this box of, oh, he gonna be a fag, a sissy, a punk, or whatever. And he could be the hardest one on the block. He just don't carry himself like all the other ones is out there. So what do you say about that, Dana?
I think it's definitely a stereotype. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it's definitely a stereotype because even with shaving your face clean, as soon as a black man shaves all of his hair off his face, most people say, "Oh, he's gay," just because he's want to have a clean face. But it's traditional for a white man to shave all the hair off his face, and it's just normal. So, even with stuff like that, I just look at people as people and humans first and foremost, and let people be them and let people live their life, and don't pass judgment. It's always, just because somebody may not just be confrontational. They may not be aggressive. They may not be, wanting to fight all the time. You know what I'm saying? They may just want to talk things out and things like that. That doesn't make them soft or gay. It's the quiet ones that will whip your ass.
Listen.
It's the quiet ones.
Listen.
So, I just love everybody, and you already know how I feel about it. So,
and Derek,
I'm pissed right now.
Right, because of your Wi-Fi, I know.
The back Wi-Fi. You see, I had to change my background. I had to come inside the office.
You real old school. You old school, bro.
I know.
So as you guys, went through your journey, of self-discovery and whatnot, because we just had this conversation about the stereotypes of black masculinity, was there a template that you thought was the right way to do things based upon what society was telling you as a black individual? And did you mess the template up?
No, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that's a part of transition with life, period, not gender transition, but in life, period. I think we all go through ebbs and flows, right? We go through moments when we absolutely nailing it, we absolutely killing it, and then we go through moments where we're absolutely effing everything up. It's a human experience, and that's what we try to like and transition to. It's just a human experience. We all gonna transition in something in life. You transition from one job to the next. You transition from life to death. We all gonna have some transition in our life. And it may not be necessarily your gender. So there is no template, there is no rule book. But for a lot of us, we identify, for some of us that have these relationships, we identify men in which we want to pattern ourselves after, or attributes or characteristics that we know that we want to house and move towards those characteristics. I knew that I wanted to be a stand-up guy. I want to take care of my family. I want to be successful. I defined what all those things were for me, and I went after them, regardless of my gender identity, regardless of my sexual orientation. I went after those things. Just know that my sexual orientation, my gender identity are at the bottom of the list of the amazing things that I am. Because there's a whole long list that we have to go through the list. I can't, and that's just being honest. We have to celebrate ourselves, right, and give ourselves a pat on the back.
Right.
And for all of us, for most of us, I can kind of speak for trans. We just happen to also be trans. We just happen to also be non-binary, but we happen to be a whole bunch of more amazing things. You're looking at two black business owners right here in front of you that also happen to be trans. We have to celebrate that, though, right? We have to celebrate that black part because we're still black. So no, there's no rule book, there's no handbook, but we getting out here and as the saying goes, creating and making and putting together the plane as we're flying it, and just taking on, little pieces from men and from folks that we know, cis men and folks that we know in our lives, and taking on those attributes.
I like how you basically said we should be focusing on the blackness first, and that's something that truly for me is missing within the black community. We're not focusing on the blackness first. We want to put everything ahead of the blackness and say, well, you're not black enough. Well, what is black enough? Oh yeah, we want black folks, but not those black folks. And I want to ask the village, has anybody ever experienced a situation in your life where your blackness was questioned, where your blackness was like, yeah, you too black, Are you not black enough? Are you overly black? You loud and black? You too quiet and black? Has your blackness ever been questioned? And Sebastian, you hit something dead on the head when you said you have a list of positive attributes, that we can cover before we even get close to your sexual identity and all that kind of stuff. That's not even a mention. And Dietrich just said, I'm always too black. And when you talk about being too black, I think a lot of us can attest to the fact that if we try to combat any kind of oppression, or we speak up against racism, or speak up against any kind of systemic injustice, we just being too black. We being too loud. We being too radical. But why aren't all blacks, in this together? Why are we so siloed? And any of y'all can answer that. Why are we so siloed as black men? Because I'm looking at 4 black men. Why are we siloed?
Well, I kind of want to jump in and add to something that Sebastian said before I answer that question, Dante, which was to answer your original question. There were absolutely men that I was like, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. I want to look like him. Like I had it all kind of like copy and pasted on a piece of paper. And then in going to my therapist, because I felt like that was one of the most important things I could do with my gender transition was go to therapy. She told me something and it kind of like really changed my perspective. She was like, you get to decide what kind of man you want to be. You don't have to pattern yourself after people. And I think up until she said it out loud, I didn't realize it. And then when I went to the BTAC regional conference here in Georgia, Carter Brown ended up saying something about trans men. And what he said was that we get to rewrite the narrative of what it means to be a black man. Until he said it, I didn't realize that. But that's been true for me because I'm my own kind of black man. There's nobody else like me. There's other people that are also effeminate and also this and also that, but there's no one like me. And I didn't realize that until I heard it said out loud. But to answer the question about why we are in so many different silos, I think it's easy for people to diminish not only your blackness. I wrote an article last year. It was called "My Blackness Doesn't Diminish Based on My Trans Identity." But I think it's easy for people to diminish not only our blackness, but also for them to police the terms of our masculinity or our gender identities based on what it is that they know or what it is that they feel or based on religion or any of that. And I think when that's done, that's when you see the silos and kind of the cliques and the different things. But something that I had to learn, a few years ago was that all of our liberation is tied together. So you as a cis hetero black man, if I'm not free, you're not free either, because when they get done with me, you better believe they're coming back for you. Right. So, if one of us isn't free, then we're all not free.
I agree.
That is so important. That is. Go ahead, Dana.
No, I agree with you, Derek. That is perfect. I mean, you said that well said. And it's like, we're separating each other. We're separating from this and that. And the stereotype and I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that. I want to be around this, around that. You ain't going to sit up here and tell me that at that Million Man March that took place in Washington, that it was all just straight men. It was just men. I'm sure there were some gay men, there were some trans men, and all of that. But then, if it's just you and that person standing there or in a room together, it's like if that person is, doesn't agree with that lifestyle or things like that, it's like, but I was just walking hand in hand with you. You know what I'm saying? We just marched on Washington together. What's the problem now? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no issue then because you didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like everyone is a human being first. I always say this. Everyone is a human being first. And for people to be separated and siloed and all of that, and you over here and you over there, like Derek, we're all black men. First and foremost, we're black men. Regardless of what everyone else says or what everyone thinks, or what everyone wants to say or all of that, we're black men. And like you said, as soon as they're finished with you, we best believe they're coming right for us.
Right.
And it may be vice versa. They may be coming with us first and try to get us to join up with them to
So
come
they get
after
it.
you all.
Mhm.
Which happens all the
You
time.
understand what I'm saying?
All
And that's not right. I will never team up with anybody to go after anybody in that nature. That's just not humane. It's just not polite. It's not kind, and it's not of God. You know, God created us all. You know what I'm saying? And we're all created in His image, regardless of what the man
how the image
sees
look,
out of
right.
their eyes.
I want to hit what Deidre Neal just said. She said, but we should realize that's true, period. There is no single way to be black or a black man or woman. We're not monolithic. I agree 100%. But I'm going to push back a little. There is a way to be a black community. There's a way to be a healthy black community that is mindful of all the diversity and respectful of the diversity. You know, fortunately, right now, what I'm seeing on the regular is a lack of respect for the diversity within the black community. Proof shown with Lil Nas X's performance, you know, the double standard that was there, you know, and so many different nuances that we see when people are being their true authentic self. Like I talked about on last night's show, they're being their authentic self. We say, live your best life, boo. Go be you, boo. Be authentic.
And then when they do it,
and when they do that, it's not respected, it's not affirmed, it's not celebrated. So yes, I agree, Deidre. There is no single way because we're not monolithic, but we can be mindful of the differences and respect the differences, you know, but we just don't do that. So, Eric, you want to say something? Or Sebastian, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What you're speaking to, and Derek probably amen this with me, you're speaking to intentional allyship, right? How we show up in spaces for each other and be intentional about those spaces. That's how we build community. As a black culture, as black people, number one, we have to, you know, kind of dispel some of that stuff that we were forced upon us from the black church. And that is, you know, breaking down that gay is not the worst thing you could be in the world. Trans is not the worst thing you could be. There are so many other things on the list of bad things that people can be outside of gay. Like, come on, y'all. We have to get past that in order to really liberate a community. And while we're talking about liberation, let's talk about what liberation is, right? So liberation to me means that I have my rights as a trans person. I have my rights, right? I'm fighting for my rights. Donta, you have yours. You good to go. So you're fighting with me for my rights. So when I get them, that doesn't mean they're going to take yours away. You're going to still have your rights. However, as a black community, as a black people, we're going to still be seen as separate, working in our different silos. Oh, y'all black, but y'all don't accept the gay folks, or y'all don't accept the trans folks. So you must not really want this freedom thing y'all talking about. Our liberation is 100% connected, 100% connected. So all of you black straight folks out there, cis folks, to think when you think about this, we are not going to be free until your LGBTQ plus black brothers and sisters are free too. You're just not going to be. That's not the way the system works. So we're going to have to work as a community. And oftentimes, I say this too a lot, Donta, many peaceful protests that I've been a part of and been on the very front line, it's a front line full of trans and LGBT folks. A front line full of LGBTQ folks. Because we come from a riot. This is what we do. Pride started with us. Because we've always had to fight for it, right? And to be prideful for it. So we've always stood on the front line. And all we're saying is, my black brothers, sisters, and siblings, we're out there with y'all too. Sometimes beat you there. So affirm us in that moment, because
show up for us.
Just stand up for us. Be intentional about that. Because when I show up in spaces, they don't know my transness. I'm showing up as a black man. So think about who all I'm representing. I'm representing Donta. I'm representing Dana. I'm representing Derek. And we're not even talking about sexual orientation. We're talking about from appearances. And we have to realize that when black people show up, they're showing up as a representation for all of us, no matter what their sexual orientation is. So we got to get over that. We got to get past that, what people do in their bedrooms and all that crap, because that's what it boils down to. That's all it boils down to.
And I would echo your sentiments about liberation, but I would add that liberation for me looks like equity, which means that Tori Cooper uses this example, and it's the best example. So a couple of years ago, they had the National Trans Visibility March. And when I was hearing about the planning stages of it, what she said was some people may take buses and some people may take planes because they're coming from across the country, but everybody will get there. So what equity means is everybody getting what they need to get to the same destination. So you can't get mad because we have a Pride Month or because you see Lil Nas X kissing somebody on the TV. We grew up with Martin and Gina, Tommy and Pam, I don't even know, Dwayne and Whitley slobbing each other down on the TV. And now,
they weren't even married.
Right, they weren't even married. And so now we get to see Lil Nas X kiss his boyfriend or boyfriends on the TV. People are in an uproar. And I'm like, y'all really don't like, you feel like we're trying to shove something down people's throats, but you don't even realize what we grew up like. What is this? You know, we grew up watching Cliff slob down Claire, and it was okay. It was sweet. It was something nice to see. It gave us representation, and it's now like the tables are turned, and we're getting a little bit more representation, a little bit more media. People are in such an uproar, and I'm like, y'all don't realize this is that liberation piece. This is that equity piece. This is that visibility. This is that representation. We need that. You know, the first trans man I saw on TV was Buck Angel. And I'm grateful. He and I have a great relationship, but I think I didn't meet Sebastian. I don't know when I met you, but I think either you or D-Love were my first Black trans man that I actually met on the pageantry scene. So that was years and years later.
And I'm looking at the comments, and I'm looking, and you know, of course, when we talk about the Lil Nas X thing, it ruffled feathers. And if you missed last night's show, check out last night's show because we talked about it in depth, not Lil Nas X, but just the whole thing associated with it. And I hear what you're saying, Derek, but it also goes to the fact that, you know, what is too much for TV? Because just because we grew up seeing it does not mean that it should have been on TV. You know, so I'm not saying that I'm all about it what Lil Nas X did. Neither am I saying I'm all about what Megan and Cardi B did, you know, on TV the kids are watching. So if we're not gonna level the playing field, we shouldn't holler loud when it's gay folks. You know, so if you're not gonna holler loud about all the other stuff that is shown on TV, please don't put your red flag up when it gets to gay people. Because I think that is what is unfair. So if you're not for PDA and all that stuff being shown, then let's petition to get all of it taken off of television or shows or whatever. But don't just single out a certain demographic because that one makes you the most uncomfortable. Because like Derek, Sebastian, myself, we grew up watching TV in a heteronormative light. So Dana may have got some tutorials from watching Cliff and Claire and all that, and Dwayne and Whitley. But the three of us is looking like, well, where are we at? You know, how do we navigate relationships? How do we date? How do we build homes? How do we build families and all that? So if the playing field is not going to be level, we got to be careful how we discriminate and how we say stuff. You know, that's just my take on that. But also, I think Brian made a comment earlier. He talked about his comment at 8:35 p.m. Kwame. I think people are scared to get to know the LGBT community. They're afraid if they actually like an LGBT person, it may question something in them they haven't explored. Or they may feel their friends may say, oh, so why are you hanging out with them? That's what you like? That's what you all about now? You know, and unlike Dana, a majority of cisgender heterosexual Black men are not comfortable in spaces where the sexual identities are fluid. They're just not. And I don't know why. Like I said last night, if you ugly to girls, you ugly to guys. Ugly is ugly.
Ugly is ugly.
Everybody got
a damn problem though, Donta. You know, to me, that's a personal problem. We shouldn't take that on. We should not, you know, because you're uncomfortable sitting in a situation where people who are comfortable with themselves. I need you to get on my level then. That means I want to surround myself with like-minded people. So that means we're not even on the same level, gay, straight, Black, white, whatever it is. You know, you're uncomfortable with yourself. And it's so unfair to throw those emotions and those feelings on other people who are comfortable with themselves. And you're right. What happens is particularly with Black trans women. What happens is your homeboy finds a Black trans woman that he digs and that he likes and he's attracted to, and then one of his boys see them together. Now I'm gay. Again, going back to what I said, like gay is the absolute worst thing that you could be, but not realizing sexuality and gender identities are on a spectrum. That if you dating a trans woman that identifies as a woman, then you're attracted to femininity. You're attracted to whoever houses it, so to speak, right? Say that's what you're attracted to. Those commonalities and those things that make you romantically attracted to somebody, and not necessarily the body and what they do with their bodies. So, like I said, that's what happened with Black trans women, is that they get typecasted, and then our cis men go out and date them, and then our friends, we laugh and we poke and we joke, oh, you gay now, you a punk now, you this now, and then that guy in turns, because he's not comfortable with himself, goes out and kills the trans woman or kills anything that represents transness. How fair is that?
Those jokes are not harmless.
They're not. They cause a lot of harm and have caused a lot of harm. So we have to have those conversations. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think we have to go to I'll save it for after the commercial.
Yeah, so real quick, y'all, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't go nowhere. And just for what Sebastian said, you are watching The Chi. You know exactly the kind of conversation he's talking about. If you have not watched The Chi has an entire storyline about a cisgender man dating a transgender woman. None of his homies know about it, but they're in love. And it's a beautiful story, but it just really unpacks the attraction piece of it, all right? So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. What's up, y'all? We are back for the wrap-up section of tonight's show. Special guest Derek Baugh and my boy Sebastian. Derek, you're in Atlanta, right?
You said I'm where?
You're in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay, and Sebastian, you're right above me, right? Up north?
No, I'm in Atlanta too.
I thought you was out here.
No, I'm in Atlanta as well.
Oh, y'all need to get to the West Coast. We need help.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
All right, Danny, you had a question or comment?
Okay, I was just gonna go back to what you said when you were saying that when you all were growing up, because you all are older than me. When you all were growing up, when you were younger, it wasn't on TV.
There you go. The lies. There you go.
Lies.
This bitch. I'm telling you. Trifling.
So when you all were growing up, it wasn't on TV as much, like Claire kissing Cliff and, all the names that you named. I think because it was such a hush thing back then, or shame, or it wasn't talked about as much. It was always shunned upon. But I think with everything evolving, like we're in the 21st century now. So just like the music's changed, we have social media, things are changing. So I think what's happening is, had that stuff been going on then when we were younger, I think that it would be more acceptable now for our children to watch it and us to watch it, versus them saying, why are you guys trying to shove it in our face? Why are you trying to make us, go along with this lifestyle and things like that. Because I can see where some people are saying, well, every time I turn the station on, or every time I turn this on, it's two women, or it's two men, or it's this, and this. But it wasn't as loud as it is now back then.
But I think it was. But I think back then it was characterized. You gotta look at Men on Film. Men on Film was a hit.
Oh, right, exactly.
Society loves seeing us, in stereotypical fashion. You have Flip Wilson's character. You had all these gay characters, and as long as we're being the stereotype or being the one that you can make a joke out of, we were never taken seriously. But now they're seeing us being portrayed in very serious fashion, in serious light, and it's making folks kind of step back and say, "Oh, so they're more than just something to give us giggles." So I think that the times are changing, yes, but it's still. I don't think, regardless of what era it would have been in, I don't think society would have ever been ready for what they're seeing now.
But here's the thing. We didn't see somebody that looks like you and I, or us four on TV as a gay person. We saw the flamboyant. We saw Flip Wilson. We saw Men on Film. We didn't see, and I'm just going to use this, when Karamo was first on The Real World. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was like, but then when he said he was gay, everybody was like, oh my God, what? I mean, I have friends at work because I know him, like, yo, hook me up with your boy, please. I'm like, nah.
But and that goes to what you're saying.
Yeah.
The masculinity made them uncomfortable. We've been seeing feminine gay guys on TV since he began, but the masculinity part, that's what made black men uncomfortable. When they saw a man that looks like them, talks like them, dresses like them, acts like them, but does not want women, that's when the whole spectrum shifted, and they started being like, oh, this is too much. But it's not too much when you see the gay guy acting like a woman. Nothing wrong with it. Or when you see them portraying the feminine characteristics, that was not a problem. But the minute you see this butch queen on Danny's like, what's a butch queen? When you see this butch queen, now it's an issue, right?
I usually take notes because when Derek was first on the show, y'all always do that to me. When Derek was first on the show, I'm just sitting here.
And like when Lucky was on the show,
and I was Derek. I wasn't on the show. We weren't together on the show, but Lucky and I was on the show together,
sitting side by
side, and I'm sitting there, and then Lucky started talking and said, "I was like."
And it's all about exposure. He never been in a space.
But I wasn't. But the thing about it was, I wasn't uncomfortable. When I still wasn't uncomfortable, I still didn't be like, hey, Donta, let's switch seats. None of that, because we're all human. I love everybody. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I shook Derek's hand, or I shook Dante's hand. I'm gay now. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Gay.
But that's how people think.
Yeah. When you talk about representation, I think we have to talk about gatekeeping a little bit. Because when I think about representations of trans men in television programming, I think the only thing I've seen for years was the aggressives. For years, and I still had no idea about ballroom or anything like that. And then I think the next time I seen any kind of trans male representation, that was on the L Word. And if you've watched Disclosure, I think that's on Netflix. If you've watched Disclosure, then you know that the trans male character that they put on the L Word was not even somebody that we were supposed to root for, number one. They made him into this like terrible roid raging, maniac. And then the other thing about him is that he was a white trans man. And the most insulting thing is that they were played by a cis woman, when there are a bunch of qualified trans male actors. So when you talk about how we haven't seen these things, it's not for lack of trying. It is simply a result of the gatekeeping, because it's not like we haven't been here. It's not like we're not backstage and writing the shows and producing and doing everything else. It's just that like nobody's let us through.
But the crazy part about it is, you said the first time you saw a trans person was on the L Word. Is that if I heard you right?
A trans male role played, was on.
But you had seen a trans female before?
Yeah, tons. I think everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think
For a lot of people, for a lot of us, we don't know now. We don't know unless somebody says it. You know what I'm saying? Unless somebody says I'm
what don't you
trans,
know?
But that's
if they're trans or not.
But
Yeah.
that's enveloped in some other stuff too, right? Because I'm not going to lead with my transness.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not going to lead with it. You know,
And you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And
There's
I
nobody. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I know you look like you carry a switchblade. You look like you carry a switchblade.
True.
So I know if somebody
Back up.
came at you, right? Exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Sorry, Village. But he looks like.
I mean,
okay. Go ahead.
what you're seeing today is the result of a lot of advocates and a lot of people being
Right.
and a lot of people working hard. These are just two faces among thousands of folks out here
millions probably.
millions of folks, you know, but advocates that are on the ground doing this work and being visible and putting ourselves at risk and going through reliving emotional trauma, going through some of the things that we had to, you know, rehatch and go through, you know, in order to be an example for the community. So let's be clear that we do have a lot of history. We do have a lot of history.
But for someone to love you less because of your choice, they're the idiot.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the idiot. For someone to love you less.
But Dana, we have to find another way to say that. We got to find some new verbiage because it always makes me bristle when people say your choice, because I'm like, you know, literally, it's a choice.
Well, you know what, Beehive? I said choice. I'm sorry. Come after me, Beehive.
No, I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just saying.
When you said choice, I was like,
I get your point.
Like people always say.
Put the other word in there besides choice. Y'all know what I mean.
Literally, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that, like, it literally, for me personally, for Derek, it was a choice between life and death.
Right.
I was like, damn, do I want to be here? Do I want to be around? I think I'm gonna stick around. And Sebastian, and I tell him this all the time, but one of the most encouraging things he ever said to me was, greater is later. Greater is later. And then I thought to myself, well, greater is later, Trey, but you got to stick around for it.
Right.
And so that made me kind of really want to hang in there. But for most of us, it's not a choice. Like, and I'm not saying this to you, Danny, because I know you didn't mean any harm, but I'm like, do you think I really chose to, like, lose an entire side of my family, have to worry about employment?
Right.
Have to worry about healthcare? Like, I don't want this damn struggle. Like, not that I don't, you know, embrace my full identity, but this is not like, people don't pick a struggle. Like, people don't choose to struggle. So I think we have to applaud people for embracing themselves. And I like the way Dante said, the journey of self-exploration. I really like that wording is really good.
And again, I have a trans cousin, and his name is Breon, and love him to death. I love him to death. And I say this, I tell Dante all the time. I was trying to tag him in here, but he changed his Facebook to some other name. Rap name or something, I don't know. But I have a trans cousin. I have a lesbian sister. So, you know,
so we hold you accountable, Dana. Then
yeah,
we hold you
accountable. You sure can.
We hold you accountable. You know,
sure can.
We need intentional allyship and folks like you to bring us up in spaces that we're not privy to, but are still making decisions for our lives. You know, I know y'all, you know, I've said this all the time. Y'all may have heard of the young lady knocking on the governor's door here and getting arrested while they were signing Jim Crow voter ID laws. We should be knocking on more doors because they're making decisions for all of our lives behind those doors, and we're not even in the room. Regardless if you're black, trans, if your skin is black like ours, people are making decisions for our lives, and we're not even in those rooms. All of us. So if you have,
at the end of the day, we're black.
At the end of the day, we're all black. Just like Derek said, if you have access, if you have the key to something, it's your responsibility, and I hold you responsible for opening that door and bringing my experience in. Say, hold up, you come to a table and they're talking about trans folks, and you look around, and I know it may not always be recognizable, but trust me, us advocates in the room, we're gonna stand up. And you notice that no trans advocates are standing up, then it's your responsibility to dead that conversation. Stop. No trans people are in this room, so we can't have this conversation without them here represented. That's what intentional allyship is. That's what I hold you responsible for. And Dante,
I'm already doing it.
And vice versa.
I already do it.
Yeah. Black men, me and Derek are out here setting the tone for what it looks like to be successful black men. right? So we also need on the other side for our cis men to do the same thing. Intentional allyship. We're gonna have to work. Again, I can say it 1,000 times. Our liberation is tied, y'all. Black people, it's tied.
And I think you're making a great point, Sebastian, because what we said before we went live tonight, the folks are gonna look at this show and not realize the multiple identities that are represented here. You know, we have cis, we have trans, we have gay, we have straight. You know, all on one screen, but we're all Black men. You know, and how society, how the Black community may perceive that. They'll give Dana a certain pass. Then they'll give me another pass because even though I'm Black and gay, I still have privileges that my trans brothers do not have. Right. And I think a lot of Black gay men, they forget the privileges that they exist in that trans men do not have. So they walk around with a certain kind of arrogance. So I'm holding my Black gay brothers out there. Yo, we got to do our part too to include our Black trans brothers at the table. You know, and we can't I know Dana has his role to play as a cisgender heterosexual man. I have a role to play as a cisgender homosexual man because there are doors that I can get through with my homosexual access that my trans brothers are still not being invited to. So I got to do my part to kick down doors. I think one thing that I've learned is that the community, the heterosexual community, think that the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, we all get along and we all just coalesce together. But there is so much division amongst the letters that if we were to put that all on the table, that'd be a week-long show, like Roots.
And the crazy part about that is the division amongst the letters. So you have to deal with that, and then you have to deal with the division in the Black community. That's a double whammy.
It is.
Because you could get one right and the other one's still messed up, but then as soon as you get the other one right, the other one messes back up. So it's just like,
well, it's called intersectionality. I mean, Black folks intersectionality is our thing because we all have multiple layers to who we are, and we have multiple stressors in each one of those layers. So there's intersectionality. We have me being I'm Black, I'm gay, HIV positive. That's 3 different things that society would say is against me. Oh my God, you're Black? Well, yeah. And you gay? Well, yeah. And you got HIV? Well, yeah. So that's a lot to carry through your life. That's a lot. Then you go down to Derek and Sebastian and say, well, what are y'all carrying? And when they start listing their stuff on their backpack, it's like a Marine bag going up a 5-mile hill, you know, and then we sit back like, y'all be all right, keep walking, you good, get to the top, however you get there. Now they got this big old military backpack, you know, Dana got a lunch bag, and I got a regular backpack, but we all trying to get to the top of the hill. And that's when Derek talked about that equality and equity and all that kind of stuff, right? So Corrito, a 10-mile hill, listen, a 10-mile hill wearing flip-flops in the snow.
That's it. That is it. That is so very true.
We're at the last 2 minutes. So this is when I'm going to give Derek and Sebastian time to really highlight your organizations. How can folks be intentional about being allies? How do we follow your social media pages? Check out your websites, all that kind of stuff. So who wants to go first? Because you get the full screen.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
Yep.
All right, Sebastian, go ahead. Let us have it.
Got it. I again am Sebastian Smith, and my pronouns are he, him, and king. Can't leave the king out. I am the national organizer at the National Center for Transgender Equality. I am also a part of Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, Black Trans Man Inc. I am the vice president for I Am Human Foundation, as well as the vice president or co-chair for Flux Atlanta. So many amazing organizations that I'm a part of, and it's not just me, y'all. It's a community of us out here. My call to action is really educate yourself. Get to know what trans is about. Get to know what we are about. So then as Black people, we can come together and start supporting each other. I can say it over 1,000 times. We've said it many times tonight. Our liberation is connected. It is tied together. Until all of us are free, you better believe none of us are going to be free. Thank you so much, Donta, for having me here tonight. You can find me at Sebastian Smith on Facebook, Mr._Handsome Gent on Instagram. I'll make sure y'all have all of my contact information. You can find me if you need me. I'm one call away. This is what I do. This is not only my life, but it's my passion. And I'm out here representing for other folks just like me. So, Donta, thank you so much for having me tonight.
Again, my name is Derek, and I am the executive director of Ubuntu Incorporated, based here out of Atlanta, Georgia. Most recently, we've launched our housing initiative for trans men. It is transitional housing, so we're helping them get to permanent housing solutions. You can support us by donating to our GoFundMe. Funds help the programs go round. Y'all know it. And, you can find me with other local and national organizations. I consult for ABC Atlanta, HRC, a few other national organizations. Again, check out our website, ubuntuinc.org. Follow us on Instagram at Ubuntu Inc. and follow us on Facebook, Ubuntu Incorporated. Again, my name is Derek, and I'm like Sebastian. I'm only one call away. Derek at ubuntuinc.org. Anybody can reach me via email. Stay engaged. Thank you for having us, Donta.
More than welcome, more than welcome, more than welcome. You two, hold on. I'm putting the website from Ubuntu in the chat. So check out Ubuntu. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Hey, you two are phenomenal. Y'all like my brothers for real. Like for real, for real. I can't wait to get down to the ATL and turn up with y'all. Sebastian, don't carry no blade though. I ain't trying to go to jail.
I got you. I'll leave it at home. One of them anyway.
I'm just saying, you two are welcome back on the show anytime. Anytime something is coming up that you want promoted or whatever, just let me know. I'll do my part to get the buzz out, to get information out. Let folks know what's going on. It is so important that we support each other as brothers. As black men, black brothers, we got to do that. Each one, teach one, reach one, all that kind of stuff. So, with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for taking time out. I know it's like midnight where you at, and y'all about to tie y'all hair and put your cucumbers on your eyes and lay back. So thank y'all for staying up for the Donta Show, and we'll get with y'all next time.
Absolutely.
What's up, y'all? Thank y'all for checking us out on tonight. Hey, so that wraps up Gay Pride Month. It ends July 30th. 4th of July weekend is approaching. Please be safe this weekend. Don't drink and drive. Don't go to all those events that put you in any kind of health jeopardy. I don't know what may be out there, but it's a lot of stuff happening. But just be conscious and be safe. Dana, close us out, man.
Hey, I just wanted to correct Donta because July 30th is in another month. So I think it ends June 30th. Okay, because Donta will be, and Kwame, you know this, Donta will correct us in a minute. So it feels good. It feels good. It feels so good to correct him. Okay.
It also feels good to have active Wi-Fi.
It really does, but you can't get me tonight. This is my moment. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I love everybody, but before, I just want to send a super big birthday shout out to one of our new fans, our new watchers, viewers, Danisha White. Happy birthday. Let's give it up for her. Happy birthday. And before we go, we're going to spread love.
Instead of spreading lies.
He's been studying for, his thing. Spread love.
Instead of spreading lies.
Hey, I missed you guys. I missed you guys so much last week. We both was out of it. Yesterday, I had to do an industry event. Today, the devil was all in my back house Wi-Fi. But you know what? I made it here. I made it, and I'm here. And hey, I just want you to know that I love y'all. Follow me on Instagram at DNA716. See all my content, all of that. And, check on your people. Make sure they're all right. Pandemic is still here. I love y'all.
And make sure to follow me on Instagram, Donta_Morrison, Donta_Morrison on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/Donta Morrison, youtube.com/Donta Morrison. Follow the Donta Show. We need your subscribers. We need more people to follow us, like us, love us. Village, we love you. We appreciate you for riding with us all this time. Without you, we'd be two guys talking to ourselves. So, Village, we love y'all. Thank y'all so much for just being loyal, faithful, and to Derek and Sebastian, shout out to y'all once again. Thank y'all for being guests on tonight's show. Listen, be safe this week. We're not going to have a show next Tuesday. We're not going to have a show because our producer is taking a sabbatical. But we'll be back next Monday night for another round of the Dante Show with me, Dante Morrison, and my phenomenal partner in crime, Dana Dane, the man. So until then, y'all stay blessed, stay safe. Good night.
Oh my God. My God, my God.